नन्द ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नम ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome to the seminar on the Sri Bhaktyaloka. So I'm very happy and glad to be again with all the devotees participating in this discussions. uh, I had taken Bhaktyaloka, I think 3 years back in 2021, and many devotees had felt the need that we need to study this book more in detail. And it's one of the most important, uh, it's not exactly a book, but actually, these are essays written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur on the 6 favorable items and the 6 unfavorable items which are mentioned in the text 2 and text 3 of Upadeshamrit. Atyahara prayasasya prajalpo niyamagra janasangasya laulyam cha shadbir bhaktir vinashati. And then there is utsa nishchay dhairyat tat tat karma pravartana sangatyaga shato vrittir shadbir bhaktir prasidati. So based on these 2 verses of the Upadeshamrit, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his magazine Sajjana Toshani, uh, wrote articles on each of these items. Now, you might wonder, in the Upadeshamrit, there's only one verse where the 6 items are mentioned, and there is one verse which is mentioning the favorable items, the 6 items. What is the need to elaborate on each of these items in the form of essays? So Bhaktivinoda Thakur felt it very relevant because each of these 6 items, or even one of these 6 items, can destroy devotion, the unfavorable items, And the favorable items, each one altogether or anyone can bestow us Sadbir Bhaktir Prasidati, can help us to attain perfection. So that is why Bhaktivinoda Thakur felt it very, very important to write detailed essays on each of these items. Of course, those devotees who are attending the Bhaktyaloka, it is important that they study uh, Srila Rupa Goswami's Updeshamrit, especially the commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. At least one should have done his Bhakti Shastri course, or at least read the Updeshamrit at least 2, 3 times. And it is important that we study Updeshamrit and simultaneously also study Sri Bhaktyaloka. So we have been having morning discussions on the Sri Bhaktyaloka. In the evening, we are having discussions on the Nectar of Instructions, Sri Upadeshamrit. So I'll just begin this discussion with a little brief background, which I've a little bit covered now, but more from the Sri Upadeshamrit. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Sri Bhaktyaloka. Now, basically, since it is an interactive discussion on the Zoom online forum, so there are certain guidelines. The class will be interactive. You can keep your video on, but mute your audio. Of course, I've muted your audio here so that there's no distraction. Please kindly sit in a closed room. Especially don't have your mobile to watch this. Sit on your computer or laptop or your PC, personal computer, so that you can be focused in the discussion. I will discuss a few minutes, some points or slides, and then pause for questions from the participants. If while discussing certain points, you happen to have a question, you can raise your hand. I might take it up immediately, or I might wait till the discussion is over and then take it up. So in either way, be patient, or maybe while I'm discussing that point, your question might be answered. So kindly raise your hand, and I would like to hear the questions so that understand what exactly you're trying to ask, and don't type the questions in the chat box. Kindly use the raise hand button in the Zoom feature to raise your hands to ask questions. Kindly don't write any comments, questions on the chat box. Only use it if the audio is not clear. Otherwise, don't use the chat box. So the chat box is only exclusively if there is some technical problem and you're not able to hear, or something is wrong, or the share screen is not activated. Otherwise, please don't use the chat box, all the time, because please focus in hearing. I'll be showing the PPTs from the original textbook Sri Bhaktyaloka on the Zoom screen, and I will be sharing the PPTs to all of you as the discussion is going to happen. So need not note anything from the PPTs because we will be sharing it. As I mentioned, it is best you can use your laptop for discussion for focus study. Mobile camera is small, and disturbance like calls coming in, moving around with the mobile can be avoided. And again, as I mentioned, PPTs will be shared. If you have any questions after the class is over, then kindly post it in the, kindly actually send it to me. Don't post it in the group. You send the question to me, and then I will share that question in the group and share the answer in the group. Okay. Okay, let's come to a little bit overview of the Nectar of Instruction overview, because these two questions, these two uh, verses, verse 2 and 3, where Bhaktivinoda Thakur is commenting on each of these items, They are part of nectar of instruction. So let's come to a little overview. So Srila Rupa Goswami has defined Uttama Bhakti in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Anyabhilashita Shunyam, Jnana Karmadhyanavritam, Anukulena Krishnanu, Sheelanam Bhaktir Uttama. So this Uttama Bhakti has two divisions, Sadhana Bhakti and Sadhya Bhakti. And within Sadhana Bhakti, there is Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti and there is Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. And within Sadhya Bhakti is Bhava Bhakti and Prema Bhakti. So Updeshamrit and Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu are Abhideya Shastras. How to practice Bhakti, especially Shuddha Bhakti. So when we say Sadhana Bhakti, we refer to Shuddha Sadhana Bhakti. When we say Vaidhi Bhakti, we refer to, again, Shuddha Vaidhi Bhakti. So it will become more clear as we go into the overview. So this Vaidhi Bhakti is discussed in text 1 to 7 of the Updeshamrit. The Ragana Sadhana is given only in one verse. That's the geniusness of Srila Rupa Goswami. Just in one verse, he completely gives the practice of Ragaraga Sadhana. And Bhava Bhakti and Prema Bhakti are dealt in text 9, 10, and 11. Of course, there's no clear delineation or clear discrimination as to which verse deals with Bhava Bhakti and which verse deals with Prema Bhakti. But text 9, 10, and 11, all three deal with Bhava and Prema Bhakti. Now let's go more into a detail of the overview of, again, Nectar of Instruction. This is again based on Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also wrote a commentary on the Bhakti Rasamrita, Upadesh Amrit. The original commentator is Srila Radharaman Goswami, who wrote the Upadesha. He wrote the, I don't recollect, Upadesh Amrita Prakashika, something like that. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur went through this and he was very, very ecstatic reading this commentary. And then he wrote his own commentary, the Piyush Vartini Tika. And then Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur wrote his commentary following Bhaktivinoda Thakur, which is called as the Anuvritti, where Prabhupada refers many times in his own commentary of the Nectar of Instruction. In his Anuvritti Tika, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says like something like that, he says. And then we have the most important commentary is of our founder Acharya, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So one should study the Nectar of Instruction, Prabhupada's commentary repeatedly every year and try to go deeper into the subject matter. And at some point of time, one should also, with the blessings of his Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru, study the commentaries of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in detail, because Upadeshamrita is a very, very important book. So in our evening classes, we are going to study Srila Prabhupada's commentary on the Nectar of Instruction, Upadeshamrita. And after we finish this, we are going to study the Nectar of Instruction based on the previous Acharya's commentaries, including Prabhupada's commentary. So in his commentary, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary, he gives an overview of the 11 verses of the Updeshamrit. He mentions that text 1, which is Vacho Vegama, he says it is Tridandi Swamir Lakshan, or self-controlled Madhyam Adhikari symptoms. So text 1 deals with what are the symptoms of a Tridandi sannyasi, that he has controlled his urges. Interestingly, it also speaks about the self-controlled Madhyamadhikari symptoms. Now, this is very important to note that text 1 deals with both. How? When a Madhyamadhikari controls his senses, that means he overcomes these Vegas, then he is qualified to practice Shuddha Sadhana Bhakti, and within Shuddha Sadhana Bhakti, it is Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. Now, as long as one is battling with the Vegas, one has not entered into the practice of Shuddha Sadhana Bhakti. Please note this. So, as long as one is battling with the Vegas, he's a Kanishtadhikari, struggling with his senses, struggling to control the Vegas. So, that is why we should repeatedly study Updeshamrit so that we can come to the point where we become self-controlled. We become self-controlled. Only when one is self-controlled and one is not coming under the dictation of the Vegas, then he is surrendered. And being surrendered, the principle of Sharanagati is Anukulyasya Sankalpa, Pratikulyasya Varjanam. So there comes the importance of text 2 and 3. So what is Pratikul? Bhaktir Pratikul Shadagun. What are unfavorable to this practice of Shuddha Bhakti? Bhakti Pratikul Shadagun. And that is referred in text 2. Atyahara Prayasasya Prajalpo Niyamagraha Janasangasya Laulyam Shadbir Bhaktir Vinashyati. Vinashyati means to destroy. And Vinashyati means Vishesh Rupena Nashyati. That means they completely destroy pure devotion. So that is why it is so important that what are the 6 items which are unfavorable for pure devotion. That is spoken in text 2, and that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur is writing essays on each of these, because all of them together or each of them can destroy your pure devotion. And that's why we need to go deeper into what are these 6 items. And that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written these essays. And all these essays are combined into a form of book, which was published by the Gaudiya Math initially. And they later on, they are translated into English, and now it is available with ISKCON in the form of Sri Bhaktyaloka. These are English translations of the Bengali articles. Now, what are favorable for the practice of pure devotion? That begins in text 3, Utsat Nishchaya Dhairya Tat Tat Karma Pravartanat. So, these 2 verses, and what is Shad Vid Preeti Lakshanam? What are the 6 items which are helpful for loving exchanges with devotees? The prema is there in the heart, and how that is exhibited is given in text 4. Dadati pratigranati guhyam akhyati prichyati bhunkte bhojate chaiva shadvida preeti lakshanam. The shadvida preeti lakshanam are mentioned in text 4. So the Madhyamadhikari who is self-controlled, what are the rules and what are his dealings, external rules and bhakti rules? The bhakti rules, the Shuddha bhakti rules, Anyabilashita Shunyam, Anukulyasya Sankalpa is Bhakti Anukul Shadagun, beginning with Utsa, and Pratikulasya Varjanam is Atyahara Prayasa Shad, Bhakti Pratikul Shadagun. So only a Madhyamadhikari who follows these Anukulyasya Sankalpa in the form of text 3 and Pratikulyasya Varjanam in the form of text 2 of Updeshamrit, he can make further advancement. He can make further advancement. And that is why Bhaktivinoda Thakur felt the need to write essays on each of these items in the form of Sri Bhaktyaloka. Further, I'm just giving the complete overview. Text 5, 6, 7, and 8. Madhyam Adhikari Goswami's vision and internal development. In the previous verse, it mentioned of his external dealings and bhakti rules. So the external activities have an internal effect. The internal vision starts developing, and the internal development of bhakti happens. So externally, we will not be humble, but we offer obeisances, and slowly the heart, the internal heart purifies, and internally from our heart, later on, we start offering obeisances, not externally because it's a rule. So the internal vision and development starts taking place when one follows, uh, especially text 2, 3, and 4. One has to be able to control the Vegas. Then he enters into, Anukulasya Sankalpa, Pratikulasya Varjanam in the form of text 2 and 3. And with the external dealings and following the bhakti rules, the internal development begins and the internal vision develops. So, beginning from text 5, Krishneti yasya giritam manasadritam, Madhyam Adhikari Trivid Vaishnav Sevan. How does a Madhyam Adhikari serve the Kanishtas, the Madhyamas, and the Uttamas? It's only a Madhyam Adhikari who can distinguish between who is a Uttama Adhikari and who is a Kanishta, and how to deal with the Uttama Adhikari and how to deal with the Kanishta Adhikari. So that is described in text 5. And then, especially while dealing with the Uttamadhikaris, one should not, a Madhyamadhikari should not see a Uttamadhikari from a material vision and not commit offenses. So that is spoken in text 6. Aprakrita Vaishnave, Prakrit Drishti Nished. A Vaishnava, a Uttamadhikari is aprakrita. And such a Vaishnava, seeing from Prakrita Drishti, is nisheds. That means one has to avoid the offenses. And only when one avoids the offenses, then slowly his bhajan, by his bhajan, he is able to destroy all the anarthas. So text 7, how one should perform his bhajan, beginning with this verse, Syat Krishnama Charitadi Sukirtanat. So this Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Avidya Vinash O Krishna Name Anushilaner Pranali. Anushilaner Krishna Nama Anushilaner Pranali. How should one take Krishna? What is the Pranali? What is the methodology? What is the Paddhati? One should take the Naam Adarat Anudinam. One should not commit offenses. Very respectfully, one should take the name. And when one doesn't commit offenses and respectfully takes the name, then what happens? He enters into Raga Bhakti. So then he mentions Shri Vraj Bhajan Pranali. Now Vraj Bhajan, Raga Bhakti. Tannamarupa Charitadi Sukirtana. That verse. So Vraj Bhajan Pranali. So here is the transition from text 7 to text 8, from Vaidi to Raganuga. And then text 9, 10, and 11 are Bhava and Prema. Text 9 mentions Bhajaniya Sthala Madhye Sarvashresht. I might like to go to do bhajan in Jagannath Puri, or maybe in the Himalayas, or maybe in Sri Rangam. But which is the most best place to perform bhajan to attain Vraja Radha Krishna? So that is being mentioned in text 9, Vaikunta Janito. And then Bhajankari Madhye Sarvashresht. Those who are performing bhajan, the karmis, the jnanis, the yogis, and even the bhaktas, who is the topmost? Bhajankari Madhye Sarvashresht. And Radha Kunda Snana Saubhagya Parakashta, the pinnacle or the acme or the summit of how one can attain ultimately the service to Srimati Radharani as a maid servant. That prayojan, the goal, is by taking bath in Radha Kund. So, what is the glory of Radha Kund? That the topmost holy place in the entire universe is Radha Kund. So, that is being discussed in text 11. So, our focus is Anukulisa Sankalpa, Pratikulisa Varjanam, Bhakti Pratikul Shadgun, and Bhakti Anukul Shadgun, which is each of the essays in Sri Bhaktyaloka, and why it is so important. We just went through just now. Okay, now before we go into each of these items, beginning with Atyahar, up till now what we have discussed, any questions, any clarifications? Does anyone has any questions? Any clarifications? You can raise your hands. Any questions on the brief background which we discussed? Okay, so then we will begin with Atyahar now. Now, you can also purchase this book, Sri Bhaktyaloka, and study it carefully. The entire book is there in the slides. So later on, for your further deepening of your study, you can study this book. I will share the uh, book details on the group. So directly, the whole book is there. So I'm just going to read word by line, and then we will discuss some further important points which Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying and try to clarify them. In Sri Updeshamrita, Srila Rupa Goswami has written the following verse. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagrahah janasangascha laulyam cha shadbir bhaktir vinashyati. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagrahah janasangascha laulyam cha shadbir bhaktir vinashyati. अत्यहार प्रयासश्च प्रजल्पो नियमाग्रहः जनसंगश्च लौल्यं च षड्भिर्भक्तिर्विनश्यति. Anyone would like to recite the verse? Raise your hands. You should also memorize these verses. Yes, Nandini Mataji.
अत्यहार प्रयासश्च प्रजल्पो नियमाग्रह जनसंगश्च लौल्यं च षड्भिर्भक्तिर्विनश्यति.
Atyahara. Here there is a visarga. So you have to just, ha, and should come. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha. Here the visarga becomes clear and distinct. And janasangascha laulyam. Anuswara is here. Shadabir bhaktir vinashyati. Quite good. Somebody else also had raised their hands. Devhuti Kapil Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasangascha laulyam cha sadbir bhaktir vinashyati.
Atyahara. That This visarga is half pronounced, you can say. And then niyamagraha. This is very clear and distinct because it's coming in the end. Something comes, visarga comes in between, then it is just half pronounced. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasangascha laulyam cha shadbir bhaktir vinashyati. Yes, Shubha Ekshana Krishna Prabhuji.
अत्याहारप्रयायश्च प्रजल्पो नियमाग्रह जनसङ्गश्च लौल्यं च षड्भिर्भक्तिर्विनश्यति.
Yeah. So here Atyahara Prayascha and Niyamagraha Janasangascha Laulyam. Anuswara should come here. Laulyam, should come from the nose. Anuswara is here. So this requires some. Please study Prabhupada's Sanskrit pronunciation, which is there given in the end of the Bhagavad Gita, and little bit everyday practice, and then it will help. So the more you can pronounce it very clearly and distinctly, the more the subtle body is going to get purified. Please remember that. And your inner vision will also develop, just like how Madhyamadikar is inner vision and development is there. So that development will also happen. So that's why it's important to pronounce very clearly and distinctly. One's devotional service is spoiled when one becomes too entangled in following 6 activities. Atyahar. This is Prabhupada's translation. Eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. Prabhupada is mentioning about more funds than required. Prabhupada, along with Atyahar, he is giving the meaning in his translation also. Prayas, over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. Exactly what is prayas? For endeavoring for mundane things, not for spirituals. When you endeavor for bhakti, then it is not prayas, but for mundane things, and that too, which are very difficult to obtain. Then prajalpa, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters. So prajalpa is not talking spiritual subject matters, but mundane subject matters. And niyamagraha, practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement. So this niyamagraha has twofold meaning based on how you join. Niyam agraha and niyam agraha. So both the explanations, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scripture and working independently or whimsically. And then Janasanga, associating with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. And Laulyam, being greedy for mundane activities. So these are the 6. And of course, when you study the Upadeshamrit, Prabhupada has also for each of them quite in detail spoken. But especially Bhaktivinoda Thakur, for each he has almost written a commentary, you can say. So we'll be seeing that. Now, there are additional concepts and slides which I have in the discussion of Bhaktyaloka, which will help us to go deeper into what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying. So I'll bring up that as and when it comes up. So these are the Shad doshas. Atyahara prayasasya prajalpo niyamagraha janasangascha laulyamcha. So the root is Atyahar. The root is Atyahar. You have a deep longing in the heart, to collect more funds. And because of that root desire, then you do prayas. You endeavor to collect more funds. And because of that, you have to speak about how to collect funds. You do more prajalpa. And because you're endeavoring in that direction, you are not able to follow the rules and regulations. So there is niyamagra happening, breaking the rules and regulations. And because you want to collect funds, you have to associate with worldly people more. There is Jana Sangha can happen. And why do you collect more funds? Because there is too much greed. So in one sense, if you see, there is a linear progression happening from Atyahara to Prayasa to Prajalpa, Niyamagra, and Janasanga. But it need not be necessarily. Sometimes there is intense greed, Laulya. And because of this greed, Laulya and Atyahara are little interconnected, you can say. Because of this greed, you do Prayas. And because of Prayas, then you do Prajalpa, Niyamagra, and then Janasanga. Or independently, Janasanga can lead to Niyamagra. Or Prajalp can lead to Niyamagra, failure to follow the rules and regulations. Or Prayas can lead to Niyamagra. Or Niyamagra himself can lead to also not following the rules and regulations can lead to Shadabir Bhaktir Vinashati. So they are independent and each of them can lead to, the uh, can destroy one's devotion, or in one sense, uh, there is a linear progression and it begins, the root is Atyahar. That's why Rup Goswami, being very grave Acharya, has first, said Atyahar. He could have started the verse with Laulyam. Laulyam Prayasa Prajalpa Niyamagra Jana Sangha Atyahar. But he started with Atyahar. Now, what is the reason? What is the reason he begins with Atyahar? Because the root cause of Atyahar is the emptiness of the heart, which is misdirected by over collecting. So now the heart here, I mean the seat of consciousness, the spiritual heart. We are not feeling that love for Krishna. That is the root cause. And that happiness, that satisfaction of the heart, because yenatmasu prasidati. This is the question asked by the sages of Naimisharanya, that there are many shastras, bhuri bhuri karmani shrotavyani vibhasha. Tell us the essence, ata sara samudrita, yenatma suprasiditi, by which the Atma can be satisfied. And Suta Goswami answers what? Savai pumsan paro dharma yato bhakti radokshaje ahetuke apratyata yayatma suprasidati. Yayatma suprasidati. The Atma will be completely satisfied. So the satisfaction of the heart, when it is not there by practice of pure devotional service, that results in the emptiness of the heart, and it is misdirected by over collecting, filling the house with so many things. You feel your heart will become satisfied by possessing so many things. And that satisfaction of the heart can also, misdirected to the belly, that you feel that, by eating, overeating, you'll feel satisfaction. The satisfaction of the heart is misdirected by satisfying the stomach. And that's why when stomach is satisfied, you feel happy at heart. But that is not the heart, it is the mind. The heart will be satisfied, the spiritual heart, by only pure devotional service. And that emptiness of the heart can, be misdirected by, filling the head with so many degrees. And you feel that your heart will be satisfied, but no, you'll become more and more, you know, crazy by having all these different PhDs. I recently came across somebody who has got 13 PhDs in different fields. But just looking at them, na, you don't feel happy and satisfaction. They don't seem to be blissful because they are still, having so many doubts, so many, how these things are working, there are so many mysteries which they cannot understand, and they're always caught up in samshaya. So they are not pleasing and they are not happy. So this is again the root cause is atyahar, the emptiness of the heart, which is misdirected. Externally, by external over collecting, uh, misdirected in the belly by overfilling, overeating, and to the head by many, many degrees. So that's why Rupa Goswami begins with Atyahar. This is the root from where it can go linearly in the form of Prayas, Prajalpa, Niyamagra, Janasanga, and Laulyam, or Laulyam independently also. And this is material greed, and that will lead to Prayas also and Prajalpa, like that. Okay. If you have any questions, you are free to raise your hands. I brought out these two concepts. I hope it is very clear. Any questions? Okay, fine. Now let's begin. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's articles. It is most important to consider the deep meaning of this verse. For anyone who wants to engage in pure devotional service, it is especially necessary to follow the instructions of this verse. So I mentioned in the overview when I was discussing about nectar of devotion, nectar of instruction, that bhakti pratikul shadgun. So there that bhakti refers to Shuddha Bhakti. So what are the unfavorable items for practice of Shuddha Bhakti? That are described in Atyahara Prayasas. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is mentioning here that we have to understand the deep meaning of this verse for one who wants to practice pure devotional service. For one who neglects to follow these instructions, attaining devotion to Lord Hari is extremely rare. Please mark this. It's extremely rare, he's saying. That means if one doesn't follow the instructions of this Atyahara Prayasasya, you might attain devotion, bhakti. Everyone is practicing bhakti, but to attain Shuddha Bhakti, that will become very rare. We are hereby elaborating the meaning of this verse for the benefit of those who have a strong desire to attain pure devotional service. Again, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is mentioning that only by following these 6 items, those who have a desire to attain pure devotion, they have to understand the meaning of this verse, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur is elaborating the meaning of this verse in his article or essay. In this verse, 6 impediments to devotional service are mentioned: Atyahara, Prayasa, Prajalpa, Niyamagraha, Janasanga, and Laulya. We will separately discuss each of these 6 items in the small chapter. Only the meaning of the word Atyahara is being discussed. So each separately Bhaktivinoda Thakur is discussing, but now he is going to discuss about Atyahar. Okay, Devahuti Kapil Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, regarding
Louder, please.
can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yeah, it's better now.
Yeah. So Prabhuji, regarding that, you mentioned following to that statement, attaining devotion to Lord Hari is extremely rare. But you also made a statement that one can attain devotion, but not devotion to Lord Hari. So what do you mean by one can attain devotion?
No, to enter into bhakti, to practice bhakti, everyone is qualified and everyone can take up to practice. There is no adhikar required. There is no adhikar required. Like Prayag Kumbh Mela is, going on. There's no qualification for anyone to, go and take bath. So Rup Goswami in the Nectar of Devotion mentions, just like everyone is qualified to take a bath in the Magh month in the Ganga or Prayag, especially mentions Prayag. So everyone is qualified to practice bhakti. But to practice Shuddha Bhakti, it requires adhikar. It requires adhikar. So I mentioned Shuddha Bhakti. So Shuddha Bhakti means you have to be freed from, Anya Bilashata Shunyam Jnana Karmandena Vritam. You have to be free from material desires which are motivated devotional service, basically. You approach Krishna with certain motivations. That is Karma Mishra Bhakti, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, Yoga Mishra Bhakti. So these are Mishra Bhaktis. But for Shuddha Bhakti, you need Adhikar. So that's what the point is being made. I hope it is clear.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions anyone has? Okay. So now he's going to discuss the meaning of Atyahar. Okay. Many people may think that the word Atyahar refers only to overeating, but this is not so. Atyahar, Ati Ahar. Ahar means to eat, Ati means too much eating. Now, I mentioned why people too much eat is because there is dissatisfaction in the heart, and that dissatisfaction in the heart is, somehow covered by satisfying the stomach, and you feel that, my heart will become satisfied by that. No, it's not going to happen. So, Atyahar refers not only to overeating. It is explained in the first verse of Sri Updeshamrit. Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jivva vegam udarpasta vegam etan vegan yo visheta dirha sarvam apimam prithvim sashishya. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So, in one sense, Rupa Goswami, where has he spoken about Atyahar in the first verse of Updeshamrit? Raise your hands. Where has he spoken about Atyahar in the first verse of Updeshamrit? Raise your hands. Yes, Nandini Mataji.
Is it Jiva Begum?
Yeah, it is not, is it? It is. It is Jiva Vegam. So already Rupa Goswami has said about, Jiva Vegam. So that's the point Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions. That Rupa Goswami has already spoken about Jiva Begum, then why would he again repeat it? But before that, I wanted to discuss the concept of Vega. Vega means urge. So this concept of Vega has to be very clearly understood. There are spiritual terms which are words spoken by mouth. And there are words having concepts in the mind. I'll give you an idea. When you say a chair, this is a term you're speaking from the mouth. And moment you say chair, any chair, there can be a plastic chair, there can be a round chair, there can be a square chair. But moment you say chair, you have some, concept in your mind, what exactly is a chair? Because there is a difference between a chair and a table. Similarly, when you say urge, uh, Prabhupada translates the Vega as urge or a desire. But there is a deeper meaning, वेग. ये नदी बहुत वेग से बह रहा है. This river is flowing with great force. So Vega here just doesn't mean actually a desire or urge. But Vega means urgent desires which come as a wave or a force. Vega as a concept means urgent desires which come as a wave or a force. So these have to be tolerated. Because there are other Vegas also which come, like, every day morning we feel hungry because the Agni is ignited. So we have to have breakfast. There's no question of Jiva Vegam. We have to, satisfy the urge of the stomach by taking prasadam, light, but should not overeat also. Then we fall into the, Vegas. There is a difference between desire and urgent desire. I've had my stomach breakfast full, and suddenly a sweet item comes in, and my mind desires it, and it comes in the form of a wave, and then I I want it. So this urgent desire which has come, I'm already full. I've had. This is what we need to control. That is what is being spoken about Vega. And Rupa Goswami could have said, Vacho Icha, Manasa Icha, Krodha Icha, Jiva Icha. He said, doesn't say Icha, he says Vega. Why is using the term Vega? Because Vega are urgent desires which come as a wave or a force. Those have to be controlled, not the regular urges. The term energy is the same word spoken by the mouth, but carries different concept based on the context, sorry. So similarly, the vague has a different meaning here in this context of Rupa Goswami's verse. Now, I'll give an example. You know, in the operation theater, the doctor is asking the nurse, I'm running out of energy, kindly supply energy. So when he says energy, the nurse understands it is oxygen. The patient needs the oxygen. So he wants a supply of oxygen to be increased. So supply the energy. He might not say supply the oxygen. So the same doctor, after finishing his duties, comes back home and he says his wife, I'm down with energy. Kindly supply me energy. So that time the doctor means supply me food. So the term energy is the same word, but can carry different concepts. Similarly, the term Vega. So the Vega here means urgent desires which come as a wave or a force. Similarly, Vega is urge, but what kind of urge? These are urgent desires which the mind immediately wants to fulfill through the senses. Now, I remember it's many years back, I and my friend, colleague, both were going for a meeting to the management committee, and we both had our afternoon lunch, and both were walking, and suddenly my friend colleague, smelled, and even I smelled, there were hot samosas being fried in Govindas. And the moment the smell entered his nostrils and touched his mind, there was a wave of desire to have the samosa. He just turned, he swirled, in fact, and then suddenly ordered one of his students, hey, please go and get me the samosas, hot samosas. So we already had our lunch. So this kind of urges which come in the form of wave, those have to be controlled. Not the regular urge in the afternoon which we get for having lunch. Then we have to have it. Normal desires like hunger at regular time of the day, thirst, etc. are to be fulfilled. Ayurveda mentioned that a certain vegas, urges, should not be suppressed like urine, flatus, faces, yawn, tears, burp. There are 13 such vegas. These are also vegas which come and urgently need to answer nature's call. Then we should not follow Rupa Goswami's verse, that try to hold it. Because if you hold it, it goes back because the body is demanding them to throw out, and you're trying to hold it. So there is, reaction which happens in the body and it can cause later on diseases. Similarly, urine, if you hold back, the acidity builds up in the body. So these are vegas which, should not be suppressed. But these vegas which Rupa Goswami is speaking in this verse, they have to be suppressed. They have to be controlled. So that is about the concept of Vega. Now coming back to Bhaktivinoda Thakur's article, he has already spoken about Jiva Vegam. Then why is he speaking about Atyahara here? In this regard, the urge of the tongue is the desire to taste foodstuffs, Jiva Veg. The desire of the tongue is to taste different foodstuffs. The urge of the stomach is the desire to overeat, udaravegam. And especially we all devotees have this, crisis where, when there is feast, there are so many items and the tongue wants to desire all these items and the tongue wants to eat more and more because it's the mind's desire. And the mind has unlimited desires and it keeps on eating, and the stomach has limited capacity. The stomach is full and it is telling the mind, stop now. But the mind, is not ready to listen because it is under the control of the tongue, and it eats, and the stomach is saying, no, no, no. So this 4-inch tongue is battling with the belly. So there is a whole, crisis internally between the tongue and the belly going on. So the urge of the tongue is to taste different types of foodstuffs, and the urge of the stomach is the desire to overeat. The tongue has more capacity to taste many foodstuffs, but the stomach's capacity is limited. If we understand the word atyahara in the second verse as overeating, the fault of repetition occurs in this condensed collection of essential instructions. Therefore, it is the duty of the learned readers to find other meanings for the word atyahara as used by the most grave Rupa Goswami. So, atyahara is already mentioned in the form of Jivva Vegam and Udara Vega. Then why would Rupa Goswami again in the text to mention Atyahar? Then it will be redundant. So there must be deeper meaning. So what is that deeper meaning? We will discuss that tomorrow because time is up. We will continue this discussion tomorrow, and we will complete this article also tomorrow. So any questions, any clarifications up till now here, up till what we have discussed? Anyone has any questions? About Atyahar, the concept of Atyahar. I hope it's clear to all of you. Okay, so we will stop here. It's almost 8:30. I don't want to cross the limit. I just want to stick to the schedule. And tomorrow we will, end early and give time for question answers. And in between also, as we discuss the concepts, we'll give time for question answers. So thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Bhaktyaloka ki jai. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Hare Krishna.